Hey, what is up, YouTube? Hey, in today's video, I wanted to talk about how much you should be saving every month and why I think that you should be at least putting away 15% of your take-home pay every single month. This is extremely important, especially for younger folks who don't really think about the future. If you're the millennial or Gen Z, hey, really pay attention here. In your 20s, the sooner you get started, the better. And we're gonna kind of go over why that's important. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about what people in their 20s make, and how that kind of plays into what they should be setting aside every month for retirement. So as you know, retirement can be really confusing. There's a lot of different areas that you can invest in. What I recommend as a financial coach, I typically recommend that my clients max out their match. So if you work for a company who matches your retirement contributions, I recommend that you match that out. It depends. I've seen everything from 1% to some companies are amazing and will match up to 12%. If you've got one of those scenarios, hey, that's incredible. Max that out as best you can. But hey, even before we get started on retirement, obviously here at the Debt Free Mafia, before we start investing, and I know this is going to sound almost counterintuitive, we have got to pay off that debt. Reason being is because debt has negative interest when it comes to your net worth. So we don't want to be investing while still having to pay minimum payments on debt, because what ends up happening is you got your investments and you got your debt. So your debt is growing in interest and it's pulling this way, but you're trying to put money over here and it's pulling in this way. So what ends up happening is you're like kind of staying stuck right here. So what we want to do is focus on that. We've already kind of talked over the debt snowball on this channel. I'll link that here. But we want to knock out that debt as fast as possible. And as soon as we get that debt knocked out and we get an emergency fund put in place, we're going to start throwing at least 15% of our take-home pay at this retirement. Now, I kind of went ahead and I did a little bit of research on this, and I kind of want to go through what does the mathematical equation look like whenever you are trying to save. So I want to give you an actual number that's a very realistic number that you could look forward to. Guys, I mean, what this is going to turn into is this is family tree changing kind of money. You have the opportunity to completely change your lineage here, which is so cool, especially if you're in high school, you're in college, your 20s, your 30s. I mean, you really have a shot here of just changing everything. And that's not saying that people who are at a different stage in life, later in life, don't have a shot, because they do, because typically the older you are, the more you make, so you can invest more. However, I kind of want to talk through, hey, this is why it's so important that we get that debt paid off and we start throwing some money that's going to start compounding for us over our lifetime. So I think the biggest thing that I usually get whenever I'm teaching this kind of stuff is I have a lot of resistance, because there's a lot of younger people who really hate the idea of working hard now and not being able to play until later. But hey, I am a strong believer in good things take time. They just take time. So one thing that you can do, especially those of you that you have kids or are planning on having kids, hey, let's make some cash so that we can set up our kids one day to where they're not having to focus on paying off debt and playing catch up for the half of their life, right? So we're trying to change things not just for ourselves, but for the people that we love. So that's really important to focus on. But so I was doing some research. It turns out that the average 25 to 30-year-old is making almost $48,000 a year. So kind of breaking down taxes, Social Security, Medicare, all that kind of stuff, that's about netting around $3,000 a month. So out of $3,000 a month, that means that our goal is to be setting aside $450 a month towards retirement. Now, a lot of you are probably kind of looking at me crazy, because you're like, hey, how the heck do I come up with $450 a month? Well, chances are, just statistically, you've got some debt, and you are making monthly payments. So that's where a big chunk of your money is going every month, is to paying for stuff that you couldn't afford in the first place. So what we want to do is, like I said before, get that debt paid off, and then you're going to start freeing up some cash in your budget to where you can start stashing into different retirement funds. Now, what we recommend is matching that 401k like we were talking about, and then we want to talk about investing into a Roth IRA. And what that is a Roth IRA, just to kind of basically summarize it, is you get taxed as you put money into it. And why that's so big is because you take the tax hit on the front end, so that when you cash it out one day, that's awesome because you don't have to pay any taxes on it. A 401k, when you cash out, you're gonna have to take taxes out on it, which is a bummer, because you see this giant number that you're gonna have to pay taxes on. Cool thing about Roth IRA is that number that's growing, you've already paid taxes on it. That's the number you're gonna get. So, which is really cool. So that's what we always encourage. In that order. There's also, after you there's a limit on Roth IRAs. If you're able to go over that limit, then we start recommending, that you have a professional step in. I recommend it just if you're not a finance nerd and don't love studying markets and different index funds. I recommend getting a professional, especially a professional that's motivated. Because, like, for example, the professional that we use, she makes her profit off of our profit. So the more profit we make, the more she makes. So she's incentivized to make sure that our return on our investment is high, because that makes her return on investment high. She doesn't just take a fee up front. You don't want to pay for people who take a fee up front, because they're getting paid whether you're making money or not. So you want to definitely make sure that when you interview investment professionals, it's a structure that is going to incentivize growth in your account. So we're running a little bit low on time, so I kind of wanted to share. I'm going to share my screen and talk about what kind of money you can kind of have expectant when it comes to investing. So let me share this real quick. Okay, and I've shared this screen before, and I kind of just want to go through it, because this is straight from Dave Ramsey's website. This is this gives you a good ballpark answer. So let's do an average 25-year-old, like we talked about, makes an average of almost $48,000 a year. Let's say instead of 67, we want to retire at 65, which is pretty normal. Let's see, and for retirement, a lot of 25-year-olds have zero set aside for retirement. So we talked about what the average 25-year-old makes. Comes out to about $3,000 a month. So what that would be, about 15% of $3,000 is $450. So we're gonna put in $450. And I like to highlight this all because 12% is definitely the goal that you should be going for. A lot of investment professionals, 12 is kind of the gold standard, 12 to 15. So we're gonna go off at 12%, just on kind of on the lower end. And that's why I recommend professionals, just because they'll get you in that percentage range. And obviously this is over a 30-year return. This isn't every month you're getting 12%. It could be lower, it could be higher, but it averages out to about 12% over 30 years. So we're gonna take 25, retiring at 60, setting aside $450 a month. This is as if we're not getting a raise ever, right? So this number is obviously going to go up if we get promotions and raises and start taking on new stuff. So let me go ahead and calculate this. Boom. What? Can't see that. Right over my face. Let me see. I'm going to move this over just a little bit. Look at that. Look at that. What if I'm half wrong on that? Even if I'm half wrong on that, that's $2 million. If I'm right, that's $5 million you're cashing out. That's crazy. That's crazy, right? So let me encourage you on that. This is why we're talking about getting started sooner than later. Let's say you don't start until 45. Look at the hit. So we're going 5.2 million, 400,000. 400,000. You're missing out on $4.5 million. By waiting, by not getting your debt paid off, by not investing, by not taking it seriously. Now, I know it's a little bit crazy because the world seems crazy. And you got to remember that the stock market and investing is like a roller coaster. It has ups and downs, but it historically always trends up. It's one of the safer investments that you can do. Now, let me take just a moment to encourage you. If you feel comfortable doing all the research and making calculated decisions, do it, because it'll actually end up saving you a fee. A lot of people that I know do index funds through Vanguard. That's great. If that's something you're interested in, by all means do it. If not, I'm actually going to link in the description a great way to find an investment professional in your area that is going to have the mindset of debt-free and calculated risk assessment when it comes to your investment. They're also professionals. They're licensed in it. You're going to get somebody that's in your state, and they're going to help walk you through this, which is so cool. Again, I want you to interview a few of these people. If you have any questions or kind of have, what do you like to invest in? What's kind of going on through your head when you think about investing? Let me know in the comments because I'm curious. I love to know. I like to kind of answer anything you got going on there. I think what I'm planning on doing on this channel is having an investment professional come on and kind of start to talk through this and maybe answer any questions that you guys have. So please let me know. As always, if this was helpful to you, if this was enlightening to you, be sure to subscribe and hit the like. It just helps me out. I love to get this message out to more and more people, just because I feel like it's something that we don't talk about enough. But anyways, guys, I appreciate you, and guys, live debt free. Let's change our lives. Let's break those chains. Love you guys. We'll talk to you later. Peace.